Alright, what I'm going to show you how to do here is remove a door panel from a 2013 Toyota Prius C. My door locking mechanism has failed, and so I'm going to be replacing the door locking actuator. This is the first step in removing the assembly. So I've actually already removed this. Decided that it'd be a good idea for others to be able to see how to do this. So what we've got here is we need to remove this piece here, and really it was pretty easy. I just put a flat blade screwdriver under here, just kind of gently, just so you didn't mess up the trim. But flip this unit up here, and there are two connectors, as you can see there, that were pretty easy to remove. There's, as you can see here, there's some little clips right here that you just press in, and on this one, clip right here, you just press in and you remove that whole unit there. The important piece is that there are two screws that need to be removed right here and here in order to get the door panel off. The other screw that you need to remove is right here. Use a small screwdriver or something to pry open this little door right here and remove that screw as well. Literally there's three screws that hold on this door, and then there is as you might imagine, several clips all around the door that need to be unhooked, and that's what we're going to do now. So there are 8 clips that have to be removed, starting at the top. I'm just going to run you around here so you can see the positioning of these clips. And really, when I remove this, it looks all pretty now, but when I remove this, a couple of the clips actually stayed in the door. But at the end of the day, really, as long as you can get the cover off, you can actually either pry those out of there just to make it easier for reinstall. And I will be honest, some of these, you can see the black washers on there, so they're really pretty flimsy. I understand why Toyota did it, you know, it's to help probably with rattling and things of that nature, but they're really flimsy, and I ended up tearing several of them in the process. I guess we'll see how that affects ride noise in that sense, but at any rate, that's what we're looking at here. So really right now what we've got is we've got the door panel off the door, and I'm going to begin to remove this area here in order to be able to access the door locking mechanism, which includes the actuator for the lock, which is what has failed. I should have also mentioned that these two cables were connected right here in this area, and they're really pretty easy to remove. What I ended up doing is releasing all of the clips that I talked about previously, removed all the clips, and then the last item that I did was remove the cable connections here, and really it's just a matter of just kind of twisting it in the right direction, just moving it in the right direction to get it to come out of the connection. piece. And just so you know, you actually can operate the lock and the door from these cables right here. So one other thing that I checked just to make sure that it wasn't a connection problem is this connector right here. I disconnected it and reconnected it just to make sure that I was getting a good contact and that wasn't the issue. It's possible that this connector right here has come loose, and if that comes loose, then your locks are not gonna work. So I did detach that and reattach it, and that was not the issue. So just a added extra piece there that you would want to check before replacing this whole unit right here, is to make sure that connection is good. Basically, I just tried the locks, the automatic locks, after detaching and retaching it, and it still did not actuate the lock. All right, so I've gotten the unit removed, and let me show you what needs to happen to get this thing out of here. So what I did was, there's some plastic over the door here that's kind of with some sticky glue all the way down here. And so what I did was, first thing I did was I peeled back this just a little bit, so that I could get access into here. And I know it's hard to see. So really the first step in what I did was, there is a plug that plugs into right here, and there's just a little clip here that you remove. That was the first step that I took, was to remove that clip, and there's that's where the clip actually hooks into. So when this is installed, you just remove that clip as a first step, and then the second step is to remove these three star bolts right here. And I didn't have a star bit big enough for that, and actually what I did was I just used like a standard sized screwdriver that fit in there real nicely into the star area to remove those. So you don't have to have a special tool to do that. As long as you have a screwdriver that fits in there nicely, a regular screwdriver with a flathead screwdriver will work just fine to get that removed. And then basically I just did that. You kind of gotta jimmy it a little bit, and you can see this bar in here. So this metal bar, basically once you get the unit unhooked or unbolted, you can drop the unit down, and I don't know if you can see this here, but drop the unit down, and this right here just slips up into a fitting here on the unit. You can see it, let's see, right there. That's where that actual bar goes. So when you put your new unit in, you'll just have to line that up. But so the first thing I tried, there's a clip up in there that I tried undoing the top part of the bar, but it's actually not necessary to remove the bar. Like I said, once you have the unit out of there, once you have the unit unbolted, you just kind of drop it down and then pull it on out. And yeah, I had to jimmy it a little bit, but it wasn't too bad getting out of there actually. So here's the removed unit. And I was going to try to take it apart and see if I could actually rework the actuator. But as you can see, there is like 12 different clips around this thing. Once you get it removed, you'll see. But I mean, really, the bottom line is that I chose not to tackle it. Now, what you'll find, I mean, what I found was on rockauto.com. I actually found this unit, and you have to make sure that you get the front unit, and you make sure that you get the, either passenger or driver's side proper. But basically, I did a search. I went out on the Toyota. First thing I did was I went on the Toyota website, the Toyota parts website, not an aftermarket website, but make sure you get to the actual Toyota website. Put in my year and model, and then what I did from there is I found the actual part number. And then when I did a search for the part number out on Google, it actually brought up this part on Rock Auto. And I actually wasn't able to find, that was the first place I checked because I really like Rock Auto, but I was not able to find the actual part, just like looking at my actual vehicle and plugging in my year, make, and model. So if you've got the part number from the Toyota website, I did a search out on Google, and in doing that, it brought up a part, an ASIN part, AISIN. And actually, when I got this thing removed, if you look, this part is actually an ASIN part. So, it's basically the same manufacturer. The reason why I say this is I was not able to find one online at a dealer for less than probably about $220 before shipping. The unit that I actually ordered in is from Rock Auto, and it's about $100, $105 shipped. So that's what I've done. What we're going to have to do here, and what I'm going to explain next, is how to remove these cables, and it's really pretty easy. So in removing these cables, what you do is this cable here, you just literally pop it up, and you line it up right there, and you just pull the unit out just like that. And then this one was a little more tricky because it's got these 3 holes here. What I did was I put this screwdriver in here first and popped it up just a little bit, and then I popped up these 2, just really put it in there and kind of jiggled it a little bit. Obviously trying to be careful not to break the connectors or whatever, but at any rate, I did this one first, popped it up a little bit, and then did these 2, stuck it in there, and then popped this open. And then from there, this one is really just it's a wire. You just literally flip this thing up, and it literally comes out. So I know I missed that. So this goes from this position to literally just flipping it up and pulling it out. From the picture on the Rock Auto, it looked like this unit was going to be all that was going to come, which makes sense. I don't need new cables. The cables look brand new. I mean, heck, the vehicle's only 5 years old. Sad that this thing failed in 5 years, but at any rate, hope this helps. All right, so got the new unit today. There's the locking mechanism there. I actually already kind of bench tested it, plugged it in right there, shut the door. Actually, before I took the old unit out, I shut the door, unplugged the old one while it was still hooked into the door, and then plugged it into this new one, and sure enough, it actuates this lock mechanism here. So good news is that was the culprit, and we're going to get this installed. First, what we're going to do is I'm going to install the door cable right there, and then the locking mechanism is going to go right in there. The door cable slots right into there. Just like that. And then the locking mechanism, you can see it's kind of like a little angle piece. Anyway, flip it around here and get it going the right way. Just goes into that hole there, and then just snaps in like that. And actually this one comes over here like this, snaps in. So now we've got both of those installed. This one actually, this door, you're supposed to snap that door shut once that's attached. Now we're going to get this thing into the door. The thing you need to really know positioning of is that that little hole right there. That's what the bar inside the door is going to fit in, and it came pre-greased from the manufacturer. Anyway, we're going to line that up. Once we get it in, it's going to be more of a feeling game, getting that thing lined up. So the way I'm going to position this is this. I'm going to run these cables back out through the plastic here. Then I'm going to feed this thing down in there. So the key to this is getting these cables coming out here and then really feeding that unit in there. You almost have to set it, you almost have to turn it completely sideways. I know it's tough to see, but I've got it kind of sideways, and because there's a lip and you have to get around that, the lip and the bar. There's a lip on the unit and then there's a bar. If you can get that lip around, put that in first and then just kind of feed it around, and that went easier than what you might find. I'd actually fed it in there before I started taping, obviously, but now the key is going to be to feel where the that bar that's back in there, it has to go into that that little greased spot that I showed you on the earlier video. All right, so I got it hooked in there, plugged this back in, got these 3 screws right here all put back in. Got in, shut the door, tested it out, lock works. You know, just watching. This is the locking mechanism here, and this is the door handle, but this one was the culprit, and it's operating now, so, which it was not before with the other one, even with it out of the you know, with it out of the with the door panel off. I suppose it's possible that it could have been, you know, the switch, which yeah, on the door, but at any rate, we're going to get the panel and put the panel back on now. So here I've got the door panel. I'm going to be hooking up the lock and door mechanism right here. And those are going to hook right on to there. Top one is the lock, bottom one is the door handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this door panel up, and I'm going to attach those cables while I'm holding the door panel. So what I did was, is I kind of hung the door on here. Sorry for the lighting. Anyway, hung the door on here, gave it a test run just to make sure that the lock operated and the handle operated, and it operated just fine. I'm gonna want to make sure that I've got my I got it all lined up, and I'll snap it on, but I also want to make sure I can get to those wires before I snap anything on. Sorry, down there, for the power window switches and everything, because that'll be our last step. I'm going to be putting the screws back in here, and those two red dots there, and then there's also a screw that goes up inside of there to get this thing attached. But there's also all the clips all around the outside. Alright, so got the screws replaced, and I got my wires hanging out here, and the last step is just to get the control panel. Got it snapped in all the way around. Appears to be snapped in just fine, and we'll give it a test here once I get this hooked back up. Alright, got it all back installed, and the two harnesses are hooked up, and tested everything out, and everything looks good. Thanks for watching.